The podcast you are about to listen to contains at least one of the following: strong language, disturbing topics, abusive opinions, generally things that aren't appropriate for little kids or overly sensitive people. So, if any of that stuff's going to get your nose out of joint, this is your chance to turn it off.
Feelings don't matter, so brace yourself tight. He'll lay it down heavy, he'll light up the night. No sugar-coated tales, just cold hard facts. In the realm of opinions, there's no turning back. Listen closer, just walk away. But Aaron had to say it, come what may. Here comes Aaron with the truth untold. No holding back, watch the truth unfold. On the podcast, airways feel the righteous sting. You either take it in or let the silence ring.
All right, so you guys just missed a solid 5 minutes of me babbling, so we're going to do this again. So I'm going to say to Iceman, Jason, Mike, Tabby, Javier, Fitz, McShane, El Jefe, El Devlin, El Morte, to the guys from the Weather Report, to Billy G, to Walt from the B-Raw Podcast, to Kate, the Duchess of New Jersey, to Boomer Bob, and to the news member, George Fontes of the World of Blaze Podcast. Thank you guys for your support. If you want to hear your name shouted out with all these fine people, go to patreon.com/I had to say it pod and sign up for the thing, or you can go to buy me a coffee/I had to say it podcast and sign up there. Get on the mailing list, get access to unedited guest episodes, get access to behind the scenes content, get access to the Amazing Clown Story, which is a very unique thing that I'm pretty sure I'm the only one out there offering it. I'm kind of proud of that one. I don't want to give spoilers. It's a fantastic, entertaining thing as far as I'm concerned of. So yeah, that'll be enough self-plugging and trying to get money out of you guys for the moment. First thing I want to say, because I said it in the live stream already, but I forgot to say it in the recording. Congratulations and a happy 4-year anniversary to Mike and Tabby of the Grace Taproom Podcast. Their 4-year anniversary episode just dropped today. Great episode. They had Gary, the barbecue chef of TikTok and Instagram fame on there. The guy who's says, fuck it up with the rub and puts, chicken lubricant and all the other fun stuff when he's doing his cooking, and he screams and he yells. The guy's entertaining as hell. And it was a good fit for Mike and Tabby. I love those guys. I'm happy they made it 4 years. They didn't pod fade like so many shows did that all started around the same time. The great COVID podcast boom did put a lot of great things out there that just didn't make it. And I'm glad to see you guys are still there. And it was awesome that you guys had such a cool guest on your show. So other thing I said, I already acknowledged it. Kate already said thank you. But yeah, her jar of fucks is in the mail on its way to New Jersey. And I do have I have September's giveaway I already figured out, so that'll be we'll be doing another drawing for that. If you want to get entered in the drawing, you just go and sign up for the the supporter club, because that's who's getting it. I've done random giveaways to just listeners in the past, and I did some gift certificates to Horrible Designs and stuff like that, and it did go to people, and that's fine. Howsoever, but yeah, so for the foreseeable future, particularly with things being as tight as they are, and with the fuck muppet raising the utility rates here in my state, the giveaways are going to be held to the supporters, and just to make it fair and make it properly formal. If I list your name as a group of people, but you only got one subscription, you only get one fucking entry, because that's just fair, and that's the way it works. So. Yeah, that covers that. The other thing I need to say, because I said it once and I'll say it again, there's a possibility, even though the live streams took me almost an hour to get off the ground tonight, I may not be live streaming in the next couple of weeks. Episodes will still come out, but I'm going to have a work thing going on where I will be getting up at the way before the ass crack of dawn to go. I might have to be going out remote for a while. And if I'm doing that, I'm not going to be able to record a live stream at 7 o'clock at night when I got to get up at 3 a.m. So nothing's concrete, nothing's definitive. I just want you guys to be aware that is a potential issue on the horizon. Next thing I want to talk about, I'm being cautiously optimistic here on something. I know I've been kind of talking about cool potential guests, and I've got a couple things I'm cooking right now with guest episodes. You guys seem to really enjoy those, so I'm going to lean more heavily into that going forward. Go back to being a 2-show-a-week show. Fridays will still be for the guests. Mondays will still be for the venting my spleen. And I have a couple people lined up. Theoretically, I'm cautiously optimistic with the one that's coming this week. You guys may or may not be aware of it. It's a guy who's another TikTok, Instagram real person who goes by the Dad Bod Veteran. It's another guy with a big beard too, actually. Talks about Gen X stuff and all his reels and stuff. I got it one of those emails like, "Hey, we think this would be a great fit as a guest. How would you feel about booking him?" And I took a shot. I was like, normally I treat those emails like they're horse shit because I don't trust a lot of, professional promoters and anybody like that because I'm a skeptical asshole. But I decided to take a chance. So theoretically, I'll be recording with him tomorrow night, and that episode will be coming out on Friday. Again, theoretically. Hopefully, if, fingers crossed, it's not a scam. I'm not getting bullshitted, and this will actually be entertaining. So, because I feel like if this is legit, he's somebody I could actually have a pretty good conversation with. Just, it's somebody I follow on social media, and so I was like, okay, if I got somebody reaching out saying this might be a good fit, maybe I should take a chance and run with it. I mean, the guy makes me laugh, so why not? Again, I need to hydrate during these things, believe it or not. For as much as I don't pause too much to breathe, I still need to wet my whistle because otherwise I start to have some issues. And yeah, so got a few things that have been rolling around in the old nugget for the last few days. Today, I actually loaded a little extra fuel on there, so I got some last minute additions to my planned ranting. But one of the big things I was looking at that happened over the weekend, or over the last week, since the last time we had a sit down and talk. If you're not, involved in the weathered report every morning, or weathered view, I'm sorry, the reports on the. If you're not in the weathered view thing on X, you should really go do that because then you can hear me be a jackass every morning. But to compound that, one of the things that went on that I have thoughts on, as one will, is the Cracker Barrel rebranding incident here. Now, it was, for if anybody that's living under a fucking rock, some woke girl boss broad, I don't need no man. We're gonna rethink the world. Woke leftist bullshit comes in and takes literally everything that Cracker Barrel stands for, everything that appeals to its customer base, and says, fuck this, we're getting rid of that. We need to remodernize. Now, I understand Cracker Barrel has been functioning at a loss for quite a while. They were not exactly making record profits or anything, but they had a steady customer base. Yeah, they weren't killing it in the market, but this rebrand was so universally ill received. It was, you can't, first off, they redid the logo and they gave it the fucking Land O'Lakes treatment. They got rid of the Indian and kept the fucking land. Well, in this case, they got rid of the cracker and they got rid of the fucking barrel. The old white guy leaning on the barrel on the logo, got rid of it, made it all blocky and fucking sterile, looking like some fucking European hospital sign. And the only thing they kept was the fucking orange, which honestly to me was the worst part of the original fucking logo, was that shitty fucking baby puke color. So they hung on to the one repugnant part of the original logo and said, fuck that. Then they said they're going to get rid of the general store motif of the Cracker Barrel line and they are going to modernize it and streamline it, not realizing that the vast majority of the people who actually go to the fucking Cracker Barrel are not going there because it's a high-end, dining experience. They're not going there because they're expecting to have a really good high-end, highfalutin time. What they're going to have is comfort food that reminds them of their childhood, reminds them of road trips when they're on the road with Meemaw and Peepaw or whatever the hell else is going on. But nobody's going there because it's some fine dining experience. The food is all pre-prepped, microwaved fucking slop. If anything, they should refocus on refreshing their kitchens and their processes and procedures. Now, Cracker Barrel is like any other chain in the country, a little inside baseball for anybody that's never worked in the service industry. The reason McDonald's and Burger King and fast food restaurants and chains are successful is not necessarily that they're amazing high quality products. Now, that's not to say you can't get some amazing high quality products from a chain restaurant. Howsoever, the strongest selling point of every chain themed restaurant, whether it be Red Lobster, which is broke ass seafood, whether it's, Cracker Barrel for broke ass Southern comfort food, whether it's fucking McDonald's for broke ass cheeseburgers. And I'm saying this is what their whole point, their whole game plan, their whole marketing approach is consistency and reliability. You can walk into a fucking Burger King anywhere on the planet, order a Whopper, and you're going to know what you're getting. You're going to get a flame broiled patty that's a quarter of an inch thick. Well, actually, that might be too generous these days. Maybe it's an eighth of an inch thick now. That's pressed out to the size of a fucking hubcap centerpiece and crammed onto a sesame seed bun with lettuce, shredded lettuce, mustard, mayonnaise, ketchup, onions, and pickles. That's what you're going to get anywhere on the fucking planet if you order a Whopper, unless you decide to have it your way, which Burger King's always been renowned for. Have it your way. They made a jingle, the whole fucking thing back in the 90s. And it was so much a part of the zeitgeist that it was even in a couple movies where they're saying, yeah, special orders do upset us because mustard, onion, pickles, lettuce, special orders don't upset us, but they do because as somebody in the service industry, fuck you, order it off the menu or shut the fuck up. And yes, Cody, don't forget the meth sweat. You're right. Which I don't know how that popped up in that feed over there. This is gonna drive me crazy trying to watch all these chats. That's okay. I'll get better at this as time goes on. And where was I? Oh yeah, Burger King. So Whoppers. The whole thing about Cracker Barrel is, yeah, this is how the show works. This is the behind the scenes you guys have been asking for. This is real. This is squirrel. But so the consistency is what people are looking for. You rebrand. You take away the nostalgia. You take away the novelty of a country store themed setting. The rockers on the front porch with the giant checkerboards on the little fucking woven mats. And you replace it with, you get rid of the porch front, you get rid of the general store. Now all you have is shitty rethermed food that nobody's coming in there to sit down and be like, hey, you know what? I really dig this sterile environment that kind of looks like a fucking hospital waiting room. This is where I dream of dining. So this announcement comes out. Cracker Barrel stock immediately fucking tanks. I was trying to say stock tanks and it came out stanks. Not inaccurate, just not what I was trying to say. But so yeah, the stock just tanks, drops like, I want to say $6 or $7 in the first day. All of a sudden, not only is every right-leaning conservative individual on social media talking about this is woke bullshit, but all of a sudden you got like the Democrat official social media account saying, hey, we don't agree with this shit either. I mean, I did not have Cracker Barrel rebranding unifying the country on anything resembling an idea that I thought was going to have to happen. So it's it's a whole nother thing going on here where it's again, the unification and the unity was very short-lived because why the fuck wouldn't it be? It's very much so. Yeah, that happened. It was a thing. And then apparently the left has decided that, hey, we got some we got some unity here. We all disagree on the Cracker Barrel thing. You know what else we should do? We should try and co-opt MAGA because that'll get us the votes. And this is the thing that I've kind of been really thinking about here I tried not to think too much over the weekend. It was my birthday. I literally just wanted to fucking unplug, not think about shit. So I kind of did. I had a lovely day Saturday. I didn't do dick. It was phenomenal. I sat around, I ate, I was fat, and I played video games. Fuck yeah. So anyway, so also over the course of the last week, Gavin Newsom and his social media team, which I saw a little thing like, here's the viral team behind Gavin Newsom's hot new look on social media. And it was, some fluff piece out of mainstream media. And honestly, it was exactly what you would think Gavin Newsom's social media team looks like. A fat broad and a twink. And it was, and I'm not trying to be Well, yeah, I am being judgmental. Fuck it. You know why? Because I'm right. That's all I need to worry about. It's a fat broad that I'm sure has the personality of fucking a sandpaper dildo and a twink. And their version of a cutty, edgier, new forward-facing Gavin Newsom is literally to copy Trump's entire, 2024 run, basically. And I'm saying this with all the disdain I can try and muster for this, because we've got a lot of people that's, okay, valid point Cody threw up in the chat. It's surprised there's no MS-13 representation in Gavin's team, which is a very accurate statement. But yeah, no, the thing I was thinking about this is, and this is going to feed into my initial thoughts based on the article I read about his edgy new young people running his social media account, trying to, take the fight to Trump because they're tweeting in Trump style, i.e. all caps, bad punctuation, and just blusterous, like, oh my God, this is the best as this. And they're literally, they think, I know they're not trying to win hearts and minds. They think they're being edgy and funny because A couple people I know in the real world have been like, "Have you seen Gavin Newsom's newest tweets? They're hilarious." I'm like, "What's funny about that?" I mean, other than the fact that they're mocking the Cheeto dusted fucker that you guys all hate, it's not even like original mockery because they're still saying the same retarded shit with no basis in reality, but now they're doing it in all caps. And then they launched a merch line that is literally like doing everything they can to co-opt the MAGA movement. They got make a flag that says "Make America Gavin Again." America was never Gavin to begin with, so you can't make it Gavin again, which I haven't bothered to post on any social media stuff because it just enervates the shit out of me. I get so irritated where it's like, it's not doing my blood pressure any fucking favors looking at these morons. But then they got red hats like, this is a real patriot and all this other dumb shit. And it's like, it's completely inauthentic. But even if they were going to actually launch this merchandise, which, some people are saying it's a real website. I don't know. I'm not going to try and buy anything from it. But as I understand it, anything you try and click on, they're saying it's already all sold out, which is, it's a horseshit marketing ploy. And they're trying to paint this lizard skinned fucking hair pile piece of shit as something relatable or human. So Gavin Newsom's trying to rebrand himself as like this edgy standing up to Trump. Like this is totally Newsom 2028. This fucking hair gelled sack of shit. I have no faith that the general population won't be stupid enough to jump behind this because it's, I mean, he's a slimy motherfucker, and slimy motherfuckers are good at winning stupid people over to their side. Unfortunately, you're going to get he's conventionally normal looking. So compared to a lot of the other things they have to offer for the dried up, bored liberal women at home that are, going to be sitting there trying to rub one out, thinking about how he's going to make America theirs again, where he's going to make all those knuckle dragging alpha male types get back in line where they belong so girl boss power can rule, or whatever the fuck these smooth brain cunts think when they look at him. I really don't know. But yeah, so it's just, it's dumb. I don't know how else to put it. I mean, if it's supposed to be parody or satire, it's very poorly executed parody or satire. It's not clever. It's not witty. It's very like middle school, haha, you're a stupid head type shit. And I'm not impressed. I mean, maybe it's because I'm smarter than the average motherfucker, because it's like, if nothing else, it neglects the original thing where like Newsom spent a lot of time talking shit about how Trump's tweets read and how ignorant they were and all this other shit. And now he's like leaning into it and, oh, well, it's a parody. It's a spoof. I'm like, I don't really think it is. I think they're actually dumb enough that they think this is going to sway middle of the road people, because that's how they lost the last election, was a bunch of the middle of the road motherfuckers, and even more middle-ish leftist people couldn't get on board with the insanity anymore and went to the other side. And they think, oh, well, that must be what got them. So if we act like that, they'll come back. And I really don't think, I honestly believe it's just ridiculous. Let's see. Bit Old Now podcast episode with Charlie Kirk was, he really did in that one too, where he's like, oh yeah, no, I'm not this fucking liberal piece of shit that ran the sixth largest economy in the country into the ground and have a $50 billion deficit. And yes, no, Mamala was not a good. She was a fucking potato. She was an alcoholic sack of shit that couldn't speak coherently to save her life. I would rather watch an autistic kid with a fucking helmet talk about trains for 3 hours than listen to her for 3 minutes. Fuck that bitch. Yeah, so that's my next bullet point, is Newsom's fucking social media team. Then this actually kind of rolls nicely into the next thing I want to talk about, which happened today, which would be my jelly-filled fuck muppet of a governor, general fucking piece of shit, JB Pritzker, which actually, I one thing I do appreciate about JB Pritzker and the general piece of shit that he is at least I can still wear my FJB fucking hat, because even though Biden's not in the office anymore, fuck JB still holds true as long as I live in Illinois. So fuck that guy. I can still wear my beanie that says FJB, and that makes me happy. So I got that going for me. But yeah, he had a press conference today, him and fucking Brandon Johnson, the mayor of Chicago, for anyone who's, living under a rock and doesn't realize what that milk dud headed looking motherfucker's name is. came out and had a press conference talking about Chicago's safe. Chicago doesn't want the military here. We don't care what Trump has to say. I mean, these two brain dead fucks who don't seem to understand the average motherfucker doesn't really want to say, no, you're right, JB. It's a brilliant idea for you to keep raising our taxes while our lives get shittier. You know, I mean, I find it really hard. I mean, JB is a fucking retard. He's a functional moron. He completely leans into the fucking, LGBT LMNOP people agenda because his own fucking family is a part of that cult. So of course he's got to be on board with that. He's a failed human being. He's the kind of guy that used to go to women's rights marches back in the 70s trying to get his dick wet, but he couldn't see his dick. So I can't imagine it worked real fucking well for him. But this bloated, pasty, jelly-filled Ozempic taking fuck muppet, and it's like, oh look, he's losing weight. Yeah, he's down to maybe 350. So good for him, you fat fuck. But anyway, he's out there doing photo ops like, oh look, we're walking in Chicago. It's perfectly safe. Oh look, we're here. And I'm living rent free in Trump's mind because he keeps talking about Chicago. No, he keeps talking about Chicago because you're an abysmal failure of a human being. You're an awful fucking governor. The state's $50 billion in deficit, and you're still raising taxes. Otherwise, it would be more. And this worthless sack of fuck keeps going and running his mouth and talking all this shit about how he lives rent free in Trump's head, but he, holds his press conference in front of the Trump Towers in Chicago. So, who lives in whose head, really? And then you get Brandon Johnson, who comes on and talks during this thing, talking about, oh, the citizens of Chicago, we need proven, tried and true revelations and exhortations and salutations and bushamations. And because for being a career educator, he's a fucking idiot who can't talk. And without fail, he cannot get in front of a fucking microphone on a camera without blaming racism for every failure in his fucking career. So this worthless fucking idiot gets on, starts talking shit about, oh, well, we don't need Trump. Trump, the money he's spending on this is a show, and he could give that money. I mean, it all comes back down to this worthless sack of shit who's got again $1 billion deficit in his budget in Chicago. One of the most highly taxed, the citizens of Illinois literally are living under the highest individual tax burden in the fucking country. Now, it's not that necessarily the highest overall tax, but the highest cumulative average tax burden. Other states do have slightly higher property taxes or gas taxes. But we're in the top 5 in like fucking every single one of them. So cumulatively, we actually have the worst individual tax burden per citizen in the country. And these fuck knuckles are still running a fucking deficit. They're still doing all the typical Democrat bullshit, tax and spend more than we tax, and then whine and bitch when the federal government doesn't want to give us any more shit because the other party's in charge now. We don't want to play by the rules. So then we're going to say, hey, you know what? It's because Trump's a racist and he's fucking with black people. I hate to tell you this. This may come as a news flash to a lot of people. It's not black people that are getting fucked with. It's parasites. Parasites of all shades and flavors, because it's not. And the worst part is you get fucking Brandon Johnson screaming racism, JB screaming, we don't need you here. You want to be dictator. Meanwhile, this is the same fat fuck who re-extended his COVID fucking emergency status for the state of Illinois 33 fucking times. He's issued a mandate that if you were in any kind of a healthcare or healthcare adjacent field, you had to get the vax. This guy is an utter failure as a human being, is a piece of shit. I said it during COVID. I said it right after I got my first dose because I wanted to keep my job. If I even think I'm getting a blood clot, I'm going in the history books for what I'm going to do to that fat fuck before I go. And if I die before I get to him, somebody better fucking avenge me. But where's I going with this? Oh yeah. So, but anyway, yeah. So they're on the river in Chicago having this lovely little press conference talking about how it's such a safe, lovely city. And people are, Trump is just fear mongering. And if they send the National Guard, all they're going to be doing is terrorizing people. And JB said, don't you threaten my people. And I don't think he meant to do it, but when he said, don't threaten my people, I think he made a very Freudian slip that actually, I think he accidentally said something that was true. He's very concerned about the welfare and the well-being of his people. Illegals and fucking criminals. So those are the people he's worried about protecting. But yeah, so you got this worthless jelly-filled fuck muppet, and you got the fucking Hershey-headed fucking smooth-brained fucking mayor out there trying to flex and act all hard. We don't want the National Guard here. You can't send them here. If you do that, you're attacking our people. Meanwhile, if you actually go talk to any genuinely like an actual Chicago motherfucker, anybody from the fucking hood in Chicago, and I've made the same statement 4 or 5 times on various JB social media posts today. As always, calling him a fuck muppet at the end of each post, which I get every time I do that, I always get at least one person's like, I'm putting that in my vernacular. That's hilarious. I'm going to start using that. Good. I want more people calling him a fuck muppet. I don't even care if people, I mean, I want people using it in general, but but specifically, I want it for that fat fuck. So yeah, I keep calling him a fuck muppet. You know why? Because he's a fuck muppet. It just fits. I don't know where it came from. It rolled off the tongue one day and it settled in, and I went, that's the one. That's the right thing to call that fat fuck. So anyway, they're out there, posturing, poisoning. Everything I've said is, yeah, it's real easy to feel safe when you got a fucking small fleet of armed security around you and you're in one of the upscale neighborhoods that still is almost livable in Chicago. Because that's the thing, as somebody who's in the area, I can tell you this with more accuracy than a lot of the other fucking people that will probably be, responding when I make these comments on social media, because they're liberals from outside of town or they live in the Gold Coast, which is I actually still seeing violent issues. Even the nice parts of Chicago, the places that used to be safe, the places where you used to be able to go and know you weren't going to get fucked with, that don't happen anymore. Between the teen street takeovers and the fucking general douchebaggery that goes on, and the fucking guys that don't speak English that'll hit you in the head with a fucking piece of timber they found on in an alley, and the fucking rats the size of fucking terriers, you're not going to have a good time. I mean, and that's one of the things you never hear about in any of the news. It's never talked about in any real way, shape, or form meaningfully. The rats used to be contained to very specific areas. Chicago has a massive rat problem. And when I say massive rats, I don't just mean like there's a lot of these motherfuckers, because there are, but they're gigantic. When I worked in the city, I was walking down an alley one night, not an alley, but I mean, I was walking past an alley down the sidewalk, a wide open street in the financial district, nice part of town, a couple blocks away from the lakeshore. I got chased by a fucking rat that was literally probably 25 pounds. The thing was fucking gigantic. It was fearless, and it was following me for like a block and a half because I had a bag with some stuff I had to pick up for the kitchen I was working in. And it was like, I had this small dog following me down the streets that had a really bony tail because it wasn't a fucking dog. So, yeah, Chicago's very safe. That's where Juicy Smollier, he had that noose put around his neck, and a couple guys said this is MAGA country, and called him a faggot and whatever else it was. And yeah, no, those two nice Nigerian MAGA gentlemen, because everybody knows Nigerians are really big fans of Trump. Yeah, which is actually going to kind of dovetail into the next thing I'm going to say. Not exactly, because this actually may come off sounding a little ignorant. But no, the next thing I was going to talk about is another thing that came up in terms of foreigners here that probably aren't a big fan of the way things are going. The Somali guy who was running for mayor of Minneapolis, the DNC pulled his fucking endorsement last week. The Somali guy who was running for mayor in Minnesota, the Democratic Party pulled his endorsement because there were all kinds of improprieties coming up with apparently a bunch of ballots for the primaries came up, and they were just like, oh wait, these aren't checking out. So yeah, I don't care. Whatever. It is what it is. I'll get over it. Okay, so yeah, so the Minnesota mayoral candidate, the Somali guy who was doing his campaigning in not English, lost the official endorsement from the Democratic Party. So that's his competition, who is really not all that much of an improvement other than the fact that he actually speaks English, was also very like weird. I've seen videos of him doing like dancing to try and encourage followers and stuff, and he dances very odd. But which brings me to the thing I am going to wrap up, I think, this episode with, and that is, over the statistics have come out here, and it's like Gen Z is fleeing the left. And over the last, since whenever this poll ran, the Democrats have lost 2.1 million voter registrations for the next cycle. The Democrat rolls are down 2.1 million votes. Republican registrations have increased by 2.4 million votes. So a net change of 4.5 million voters have shifted from left or anticipated left votes to the right. And so that's a thing that's going on. And it's really worthy of noting that this kind of bucks traditional trends in terms of how young people tend to lean politically. I mean, it generally, I forget who I think was it Churchill that said it? I think it was Churchill that said, if you're not liberal in your 20s, you have no heart. If you're not conservative in your 40s, you have no brain. And, I mean, that's kind of legit. Like when I was in my late teens, early 20s, I was definitely considered way more liberal by the standards of the day. I mean, liberal Aaron from the late 90s would still be considered a fascist, right-leaning asshole by today's liberals. And because my stances really haven't changed that much over the years. I still basically believe the core tenets of what I believe, which is I don't fucking care. I mean, I based my entire personality around not giving a shit about what other people do with their own fucking lives as long as it doesn't infringe on mine. I don't really think that's such an outlandish stance to take, but for some reason, young men in particular, but young people in general, are just fleeing the left in fucking droves. And I've talked about this and saying things like this might happen over the course of other episodes, other ideas, where the pendulum's going to swing back. It's going to shift to a case of it's going to go too far right at some point. It's inevitable. And because for some reason we can't just settle in the middle where things belong, where it's like, you know what, as long as you're not hurting anybody, do your own thing. And who gives a fuck? I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. Don't tell me how to live mine, which I think is, a fairly popular sentiment among people that aren't fucking retarded. But yeah, so this Gen Z polling is showing this massive shift from left to right. And I saw an article the other day while I was, again, half-assed trying to build a game plan for this show that basically said, why are we losing all these young men in particular, but why are we losing young people? Why is the narrative shifting to where we don't have the backing and the support of the youth like we used to have? And call me crazy, but I have a theory on this, and I'm going to kind of lay the theory out, and then we'll probably put a pin in this because we're going to be getting to about an hour before too long here. But my theory about this is young men in particular, but young women to a certain extent too, got really fucking fed up with being told they were born the bad guy. They got tired of being told, hey, you know what? You are inherently racist. You are inherently bigoted. You are inherently, not understanding. You have to work 3 times as hard to offset the vile shit that was done before you were even a grandkid's idea of anything could happen, because you're just inherently a villain. You're a bad person because your melanin count is lower than everybody else's. You're a bad person because you were born with an XY chromosome set instead of 2 X's. You're a bad person if you want to understand basic biology and that there is a difference between 2 X chromosomes and an XY chromosome set. You are inherently the fucking bad person. Well, the thing about human nature, and this is going to be my tangent of, yes, I'm smarter than you, you dumb motherfuckers, if you don't want to agree with this. Human nature is nobody likes being the fucking bad guy unless they're a fucking sociopath like me. I don't care if you think I'm the bad guy, primarily because I don't respect your fucking opinions. And obviously I'm not saying that to my listeners because you guys are wonderful people. You are obviously smarter and better looking than the average retard that's out there. But to the John Q motherfucker who's going to sit there and try and lecture me about what a piece of shit I am because I was born a pale ass white dude, and especially the ones that want to get a bent out of shape because I walk around with a shaved fucking head like, oh, I must be a racist. No, motherfucker, I got a hairline that looks like George Costanza. Fuck you for judging me. But furthermore, I don't do white guilt. I don't do inherent guilt. I don't feel guilty for anything that I didn't directly fucking do. I don't feel the need to apologize for shit that I had nothing to do with, that never directly impacted you in the first fucking place. I'm sorry that 200 fucking years ago, somebody that kind of looked like you got shit on by somebody that kind of looked like me. You know who else got shit on by somebody that kind of looked like me? Other motherfuckers that kind of looked like me. You're not unique. You're not special. Everybody in the history of this fucking world has been shat upon or shitted upon somebody at some point or some point or place in the world. Nobody is fucking above this shit. Everybody has shitty things in their genealogy that none of us are responsible for. And I think that is something a lot of people have missed out on because we got all these beta male cuck motherfuckers that want to be the bad guy because in their brain, it somehow makes them more masculine, I guess. Like, oh, look, I'm owning up to the sins of my forefathers. I honestly, I don't pretend to understand it because my brain's not wired that way. I've never felt the need to sit in that chair in the corner of the fucking hotel and see how the view from over there was. So realistically, again, these are all just random spitballings of a slightly depraved mind. I don't understand these motherfuckers that want to sit back and be like, I owe somebody who was never punished for this thing because something I never did impacted somebody that's been dead for 200 fucking years before I was even before the best part of me ran down my fucking mom's sweat socks. I mean, I swear to God, most of the people that feel like this, I'm not trying to play amateur eugenicist here. I'm just saying a lot of people that are out there voicing these opinions probably came from pre-cum. It's just a theory because they're not whole humans. They are incomplete. They are flawed on a fundamental level. They are what happens when a dry hump where just the tip gets in literally. And you know, all the sperm that have like full complements of DNA material die because it's too far to make it to the egg. So you got that one sperm that's light because it's only got like a third of the fucking rhizomes that are supposed to be in there. That's the one that's got the endurance because it doesn't have to move all that material. So you get these fundamentally flawed, character lacking motherfuckers that were raised by indifferent parents who were too busy trying to make ends meet because we're all fucking working our asses off. So you get these neglected retards with the thought processing capacities of a fucking bowl of fucking wall paste that go out there and they go, hey, my teacher told me that people are all supposed to be special and unique and we all bring value. But those people got shitted on by these people, so I need to feel bad. And somebody took that concept and went, you know what? That's a good sell. You're right. I'm flawed because of something that I had nothing to do with. And since I am obviously lacking in the developmental department, you must be right because you're the teacher and you're the authority figure, so I can't question you. You're smarter than me. And literally, you get these indoctrinated, brainwashed fucks. And it's the worst part about it is this. We're at the point where this could not have been accidental. This was a steered and guided thing where at some point these worthless jackwagons in academia decided that they needed to elevate their own status by trying to add value that didn't exist to fucking institutions that don't need to be fucking there. I mean, yes, granted, you could go into the whole conversation about how the federal government subsidizing student loans was the start of the downfall of the educational system in America. And, you know, I understand the people who want to whine and cry and say, well, no, we needed to level the playing field so everybody had access to education. But the problem is not everybody has the capacity to process the same education. So by diluting the pool of where this education was going, all of a sudden you've diluted the value of it because you're no longer educating because you have to create content to fill the gap. It's something that these fucking retards can feel like they can assimilate and process, even though they can't think on a higher level. They still have to be able to act like they're self-important. So then you get classes graduating of brain dead, dysfunctional retards. And they only have two ways to go, which is sucking off the public teat or working in academia. So then the quality of the academics declines because all of a sudden you go from having academics who were smart enough to realize they needed to make academics important to people who assume academics are important because they were told they are, even though they don't actually create anything, provide any actual worth to society, or do anything in any way, shape, or form that benefits humanity beyond being an academic. when being an academic became the end goal, when they started handing out degrees that were only useful if you stayed in college for 12 fucking years to get a doctorate in this degree so you could teach that fucking subject, which has no real world application beyond teaching that subject to other fucking people. Anyway, so yeah, society's kind of fucked because we allowed academics to have way too much control. And it's kind of like, realistically, this idea keeps coming around and coming back around and coming back around. And it gets to the point where, like Plato was, he was a philosopher. He was a deep mind. They fed him fucking poison because he was obnoxious. They didn't say, you know what? Yeah, you taught a bunch of philosophers. They're a bunch of cunts too. So we're going to kill you. So they realize what happens when they get out of fucking line. And then, and it just compounds and it gets worse. And then, we get you get Karl Marx who comes along and introduces this great idea of everybody should be equal and everybody should, nobody should own property and everything should be each from his means and each according to their necessary or whatever the, retarded shit is. And nobody likes to talk about, you have to go pay to see Karl Marx's grave. That's a $5 entry fee to go see a commie's fucking grave. And B, nobody talks about the only reason that worthless shit-stained German sack of fuck was managed to stay alive is because he parasited off of everybody he knew. He borrowed money from every single one of his friends to sustain his lifestyle because rather than get off of his lazy ass and get a fucking job, he would sit around and talk about how unfair it was that some people had more than him, despite the fact that they went out and earned their fucking shit. And of course, that philosophy is very well rooted in modern academia because you have an entire class that only exists as, a thought exercise. And the fact that it's subsidized through tax dollars and guaranteed loans really just compounds the matter because, I mean, that's literally why they have so much so much push, so much people out there crying like, oh, well, we need to forgive all this student loan debt because we made bad choices and we're on the hook for dumb shit we did. Whereas nobody wants to look at the deeper root cause of like, well, why did you think this dumb shit was a good idea? Well, society says I need to go to college to get a good job. Well, no, Mike Rowe said, go to fucking trade school, you goddamn retard, and you'll be earning 6 figures before you're 30. And, he's not wrong. The villainization of the working class, when they tried to shift the American economy to an economy of ideals, it was like the first stages in this fucking doom mentality. And all of a sudden, and this, I see this all ties back in, I swear it does go somewhere. This is just how my brain works, and you guys have to watch the flow. So now we come back to why are all these people leaving the left? Because they've seen that this ideology has failed. And contrary to what a lot of people seem to think, and contrary to what I've said in my own fucking voice sometimes, kids are not inherently stupid. They become stupid when they start listening to like society and their parents and their people. And somehow these kids, enough of them sat back and said, you're all fucking retarded because you believe this shit. You fell for this shit. You said, hey, you know what? They're right. And we see you said they're right, and now you owe $200,000 that you're crying about because you can't get it forgiven because your degree in underwater gender studies doesn't fucking pay the bills. You can't even keep a job making fucking coffee because you feel triggered and traumatized and you need a safe space to go cry after the blue collar guy who makes 6 times what you do a month came in, ordered a cup of coffee, and called you sir because you got a 5 o'clock shadow and a dick. So, yeah, my sympathy for these people is very tempered, as you can tell. But ultimately, the way it comes down to it is stupid people breed stupid other people. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I like I said, I feel cautiously optimistic about the shift. The problem is I'm concerned that it's going to go way too far the other way. And all these fucking retard leftists are out there, like, get all these worthless sacks of cunt that are out there dressed up like the Handmaid's Tale, because that's where, oh my God, the conservatives are coming and we're all going to be used as. First off, you have the most unfuckable women on the planet out there acting like they're going to be used for breeding stock. Nobody wants an autistic, retarded baby. We want to fuck intelligent people that are not unattractive. We don't want to breed stupid, ugly, lazy motherfuckers because some of those traits are genetic. And nobody that's a successful, powerful man is going to be like, here, let me fuck this ugly, ooga booga booger bitch that's going to give me a stupid, ugly fucking baby so I can have stupid, ugly fucking kids. No, they want that. That's why you see rich old motherfuckers with like 37 supermodels on their fucking yacht. It's not because they want to fuck booger bears for fertility. It's because they want to stick their dick in something that if they're going to knock something up, at least the kid's not going to be a fucking booger bear. At least it's going to be somebody that might have some potential. The dad's going to look at the knocked up hot chick and go, hopefully he looks like her and thinks like me. It's one of the reasons why we didn't have any more kids. Because I kept telling my wife, I'm afraid they're going to get her looks and they're going to get neither one of our fucking brains. They're going to get some recessive fucking trait and it's going to be a good looking retard. And she's like, how do you figure that's going to work? Are you trying to say I'm stupid? I said, no, that's why I said recessive genes, because God's going to smite my children to punish me for being a dick. But so that's how I would feel about that whole situation. And I guess for now, I'm going to put a pin in it and say, that's what I had to say.